idea for the show.
I still don't know what the idea is.
It's about nothing.
Right.
Everybody's doing something. We'll do nothing.
They say, what's your show about? I say nothing.
There you go.
I think you may have something here.
Cross Coast Spice presents the League About Nothing podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It's time to recap week 14, the final week of the fantasy regular season. Al, I know the answer before I ask. How are you this week?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Number one score this week to jump ahead a little bit. Yep. We know that we get a positive response when you had the best week in the league.
It may be short-lived, but right now, wonderful.
Well, see, here's the thing. This week, for the number one score, you're only competing against 3 other teams. So you actually have much better odds to get that top score.
Well, this week I only care about outscoring one other team.
That's right.
I do not care about the other 10 teams.
So we had a league median this week of 198.81. We'll get to all that in a minute. Before we get there, we have one trade to discuss and one waiver claim to discuss. Which one would you prefer first?
Oh, I love waivers. Let's do waivers.
So in the past 2 weeks, you have spent about $35 on tight ends from the Green Bay Packers. This week, it was $21 on Josh Wiley. What do you have to say for yourself?
Just spinning that backup Packers tight end roulette wheel. This week it landed on Wiley.
Yeah. So I think he had one catch for like 20 yards or so.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, have fun with that. That's literally the only waiver claim worth discussing. There was a couple other small bids, nothing of significance. I don't even know. You made one. Is he even on your team anymore? Who was it?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay. Skipping past that as quickly as humanly possible. We have one trade to discuss.
I wanted to break down the Packers tight end rotation.
Okay, we'll do that in the offseason. We'll give it an entire show. One trade. This took place between Rugg and Judd. Apparently, someone at the NFL office gave Rugg the script for this week, or at least a partial script, as I said, because he knew that Dawson Knox was about to have a big game. So Rugg traded a 2026 fifth-round pick attached to Big's roster to Judd, and in return, he received back Dawson Knox, backup tight end for the Buffalo. I don't know if backup's the right word, but one of the tight ends for Buffalo. And then Dawson Knox proceeded to have his best game of the season.
Yeah, it was well timed.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately for Rugg, it's about the only thing that went right for him this week. But still, a very impressively timed trade. Tight end depth for a fifth-round pick is fine. Knox is going to give you a few weeks in the lineup every year, but he's nothing special.
Yeah, well, I think he probably looked at the schedule and said, okay, what team is playing the Bengals? Because those tight ends are going to score a lot of points. The Bengals have been historically inept against the tight ends so far this year. And that continued this week because Knox had a big week and the other 2 Bills tight ends both scored touchdowns. So between the 3 of them, they continued Cincinnati's streak of not being able to stop the tight end.
This makes me somewhat sad because if the NFL schedule was just slightly different, I could take advantage of this because I have 2 tight ends going against the Bengals this week, but I'm also on bye.
No, shame. I mean, if you want to trade, and
obviously I'd rather have the bye.
I'll take the bye.
But the 2 tight ends going against the Bengals is,
Yeah, I think Andrews and Likely will probably have good weeks this week.
I would imagine. Like you said, historically bad. Anyway, good trade for Rugg. I guess Judd just wanted the re-roll on the 5th-round pick. Knox, as we said, isn't anything special, but he will hit your lineup a few times a year. 2-3 times you catch a touchdown.
Yeah, in this league, I mean, any tight end that's getting snaps is a worthwhile roster addition. So even though Knox is really not the primary tight end on passing downs, he's still out there for enough snaps that he's going to catch some passes in this league. Any tight end with a pulse is worth it. So as seen by my continuing wavering of Packers backup tight ends.
Let's not compare Josh Wiley to Dawson Knox. Knox actually had, I think, one season as a top 12 tight end in there.
I mean, before Kincaid got there, yeah, he was getting good run.
And we cannot say the same for either Fitzpatrick or Wiley,
Okay, well,
or them combined for that matter. Okay. All right, that's it for trades. A bit of a slow week on the trade front. Maybe we'll see a little bit more action now that we're in the playoffs, but also at this point, the number of teams that are looking to buy drops every week. So maybe we won't.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the last couple of weeks play out. We usually see a flurry every week as teams try to consolidate and more teams get eliminated and become potential sellers. And
Every
it becomes more important for the few teams remaining to buy whatever assets they can.
Yeah.
If not just to help their own team, but to keep them away from their opponents as
Right,
well.
they're always playing that keep away. Every single team that's in the playoffs has some players that are close to expiring assets. They might not be expiring this year. They might be close to it. They might be guys that only have a year or two left, but a lot of the time you'll see these teams that get eliminated in the first or second round take advantage of the selling window and unload some of these guys for probably more than they'll be worth at any point in the future.
Yeah, you just kind of shuffle those guys along to the teams that are still remaining alive in the season.
Okay, let's go over and take a look at the matchups. We had a league median of 198.81 this week, and our highest scoring team was your team, Al. You put up a 261.92. You were up against Big. Big was our fifth highest scorer and put up 204.61. So both of you guys managed to finish over the median this week, but bad news for Big. He needed this game.
He was the only one that was really playing for anything this week. Unfortunately, his team came up a little short.
Right. So Big had a one-game lead for the second bye coming into this week. And if he went 2-0, there was no chance he lost that bye. If he went 1-1 as he did, the points tiebreaker was already against him and pretty much it was too much to overcome in 1 week. So Big goes 1-1 and unfortunately finishes the same record as Mel. And we'll get to Mel's matchup in a minute, but Mel went 2-0 on the week to make up that game and had the points tiebreaker in his favor. Mel ended up with that other bye.
Yeah, it actually dropped Big from 2 to 4 because I passed him as well, tying him in record and passing him in points.
Right. And to be fair, the difference between 3 and 4 is not a huge
Not
one.
as important as between 2 and 3, but
right. Obviously you want to be a higher seed, I guess, but also the buys are really the two important ones and everything else is kind of luck of the draw. All right, so this matchup, we had two players over that 30-point threshold. I did something different this week to save myself from myself. I did not write down any single fraction. I wrote down whole numbers for points because I cannot stop reading them. So here's what it is. I rounded up or down. I don't know the exact points on any of these anymore. So good. if I say a guy with 38.7 had 39, that's what we're getting. And I looked at the first one just as an example. All right. So even now I can't stop doing it. Jahmyr Gibbs, 39 points, and Harold Fannin, 33 points. Two guys both on your squad over that threshold. Good weeks from both of them.
Yeah, Gibbs has been on a tear recently. That's the reason
this
that
whole year.
I've been even more so recently. That's why I've been one of the top scoring teams. I've been the top scoring team the last 3 weeks. I think the 1 week I was second. This is all Gibbs based. He's scoring 40 to 50 points a week. It's definitely helping my ceiling.
Makes it
Let's hope he can do it for 3 more weeks.
I hope not. Fannin, I'm pretty sure this is his best game of the year. Obviously, we don't usually see this sort of explosion from rookie tight ends.
Yeah, this was definitely a ceiling. Njoku got hurt very early in this game while catching a touchdown. And after that, they just kind of cleared the runway for Fannin. He's been splitting snaps with Njoku all year. And this game, I think he ended up playing close to 90% of the snaps. They did not just insert Blake Whiteheart into the Njoku role like the Raiders have been doing with Michael Mayer out, just sticking Carter Runyon in there, soaking up snaps. They just said, well, we'll just leave our best player out on the field for the whole time,
Yeah. Smart move on their
Success.
part. It worked out
Success.
pretty well for the offense. I would imagine that this performance buys Fannin a little bit more of the work there going forward as well, even if Njoku comes back quickly and healthy.
Yeah, we'll talk about Njoku when we wrap up some injuries, but he's also an impending free agent. So I know the Browns have been getting a long look at a lot of their young players. A couple weeks ago, they had like 90% of their yardage coming from rookies, which was an NFL record. So they're definitely in full evaluation mode for next year. So it's possible with Njoku probably out the door that they just kind of give Fannin the rest of the run the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's what they should do. There's no reason not to get a look and to get as much information as possible now.
That's what smart teams do. But
Yeah.
this is the Browns, so
The Browns
we'll see.
All right, other players over 20 points. For your team, you had Mike Gesicki at 27, Dallas Goedert at 24, Aaron Rodgers at 22. Haven't said this one before. Tyler Shuck at 20, CeeDee Lamb at 22, and Jalen Waddle at 21. That's a lot of guys over that 20-point threshold.
Yeah, well, that's why I was the high scoring team on the week. When half the lineup is over 20.
Right. And 51 points combined from the two tight end spots is, it's going to push your score up higher than usual.
Yeah, the funnest one for me obviously was Tyler Shuck, who nobody was expecting to be in anyone's lineup at any point this year. But he, when you run for 2 touchdowns,
55 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground helps quite a bit.
that helps the old fantasy ceiling.
All right, on big side of this matchup, a little bit thinner over that 20-point threshold. Only 3 guys. We had J.J. McCarthy with 22, Christian Watson with 26, and Jacoby Brissett at 20 even. So both his quarterbacks over that threshold. And McCarthy, I think this is a better fantasy day than we've seen from him pretty much all year.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns, only 163 yards, but does it matter? Because they won 31-0. They were not having trouble scoring points.
It was interesting. They basically changed the offense. They ran more 13 personnel in this game than they had the entire rest of the season combined. I think they had more 13 snaps in the first half than they had in the entire year combined. So we got to see a lot of 3 tight ends out there for Minnesota and only 1 receiver. It didn't really help Jefferson that he was the only receiver out there. Still wasn't very productive, but if this is the way that they have to run their offense for McCarthy to be successful, then this is probably what we're going to see going forward.
Right. So Jefferson's stat line, 2 catches on 4 targets for 11 yards.
Right. He's had his 2 worst games of his career back-to-back weeks.
Right. It's impressive that your team is doing what it's doing with nothing at all coming from arguably the best player on your roster.
I'm just glad this is the best ball because I would not feel good putting him in a starting lineup in the lineup league. And I know we have to make that decision in a different league. Right. And it's like to the point now, do you bench Justin Jefferson in the playoffs? The old mantra, start your studs, but he's not a stud anymore. Not this year.
It's brutal. I don't know what you do there because I always kind of default back to what am I going to feel worse about if he goes off on the bench or if he duds in the lineup again? And I think at this point I feel worse about him putting up, 2 points again.
Yeah.
The offense and
which one can you live with?
Yeah, right. The offense and the situation have just not been good enough to justify playing him right now.
Yeah,
which is incredible because
it's been a long time since he's been in my lineup, and we got pretty deep lineups in this league.
Yeah. Hey, it's incredible because he's one of the best receivers. Like, he's not suddenly a bad receiver. That didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah, the whole situation. But enough about that. Let's talk about Big's team here. There was really a pretty solid week from him. The only down spot in his lineup was the tight end 2 spot. He got 6 points from Chigakonkwo. Everything else was double digits. Most of it was in the teens. he cleared the median with 204 points, but it was just one of those not quite enough big games.
Yeah, with Kittle on bye, he had a handful of players on bye, and
McCaffrey as well.
yep, those are big pieces for this team. Kind of hurt his ceiling, obviously. Still had enough floor to get over the median, but yeah, it's tough. He's very thin at tight end to begin with, so losing a guy like Kittle is definitely came back to haunt him this week. But I did enjoy that he had two. His running back one and running back two were the running back one and running back two on the Dolphins.
Right. And
HN only played a handful of snaps and still managed to put up almost 19 points. And then Wright played the rest of the game and also put up 18 points.
yeah, it was working for the Miami run game at the very least. HN 7 carries for 92 yards.
Yeah, the Dolphins have run for over 170 yards as a team 4 straight weeks, the first time since the 70s and Larry Zonka that they've been able to do this.
That's a stat right there.
Well, this is the first time that Tua has ever won a game where the temperature was below 45 degrees. And it wasn't because of him.
No.
When you run like this, it really doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
Man, it
As
was
long as it's
against the
not-
Jets as well. So, like, do we take it with a grain of salt?
Hey, listen, 4 straight wins for the Dolphins after they were left for dead.
Yeah, it's true.
They have the same record as the Chiefs right now.
Somehow. I saw that. I was unaware of this until earlier today. Okay. Well, it was an interesting matchup here. It locks you guys into the 3 and 4 seeds. If it had gone the other way and Big had won, he would have been locked into that 2 seed. Maybe you guys will end up against each other at some point in the playoffs here. He'll have his chance for revenge. Before we go to our next matchup, we have some injuries in this one. For Big's team, as we just mentioned, Achan got hurt in that game, got replaced by Wright. It was a rib injury. He said he could have gone back into the game. McDaniel said he kept him out just because he wanted to play it cautiously. But we'll see how it
Because they were playing the Jets and they didn't
because they
need
were
him.
up 20 points on New York. Yeah. We'll see what happens this coming week at practice. I haven't seen anything as of today.
Yeah, we'll get practice reports tomorrow. So we won't know anything until after this comes out, but we'll see. It doesn't seem like anything that they're real concerned about.
The other one that you mentioned earlier, Njoku, hurt his knee, left the game, didn't return. Obviously, all that work went to Fannin afterwards. I still have not seen an injury update on this one either.
They're calling it a PCL sprain,
Okay.
and he's been battling a knee sprain on and off for the entire year. So at some point, they may just shut him down.
Yep.
This may be the point where they shut him down. May see him go on IR. We'll see. He's generally plays through anything that he can. So
Right.
we'll
Like when
see.
he burned his entire face off and played 2
Right.
days later.
We'll see if he allows them to shut him down. He might just say no and drag himself out there. We'll see.
We'll find out. Okay, there was 2 other injuries. They were both concussions, one to CeeDee Lamb and the other to Darnell Washington. So copy paste the concussion. We don't know. They're in the protocol. We'll see what happens.
I still don't understand how Darnell Washington got a concussion. I assume that him falling on his head would somehow have concussed the earth.
Right. Well, here's the thing. You know the phrase, the bigger they come, the harder they fall. It takes him about 5 minutes to actually fall. And he's got terminal velocity when he hits. So
I think that's what killed the dinosaurs.
Darnell Washington falling?
Yes.
It's as likely as anything else. Nothing else has ever been proven. Has he ever been to the Yucatan? Okay, moving on. All right, that's the end of this matchup. Our second highest scoring team this week was Flea's team. Flea put up a 221.55, and she was up against JMC, who was our 10th highest scorer, with a 122.73. All right, stop me if you've heard this one before. Michael Wilson put up 40 points this week, 43 to be specific.
Wide receiver 1 on the week again.
And in our hearts. No, seriously, what is going on with this dude? He's just absolutely balling out right now.
Well, every other receiver is currently on IR on this team. They're down to their backup practice squad guys. Not even the guys that started the year on the practice squad. These are guys that have been recently added to the practice squad because the practice squad guys who got called up are also on IR. They,
Well,
they're running out of pass catchers, but they continue to throw 75 times a game.
they heard what the Colts did and they decided they were going to give Larry Fitzgerald a call.
Right? I mean, at this point,
So 43 for Wilson this week. Again, this is 11 catches on 16 targets, 142 yards and 2 touchdowns. The passing volume in Arizona right now is through the roof. They don't have receivers, but they also don't have running backs.
right. They have to throw on every play because they can't run the ball and they're down by multiple touchdowns pretty much from the kickoff. So this is a recipe for fantasy goodness.
It's not winning them games, but it sure is putting up a lot of fantasy points.
Oh yeah, no, this is not a viable strategy for winning NFL games, but it is a viable strategy for winning fantasy football games.
They only lost by 28, to be fair.
So close.
On the other side of this matchup, we had a 30-point score. T. Higgins with a 30-point day, apparently before his concussion.
Well,
Maybe
I mean,
after.
they checked him several times throughout this game for concussions, and he kept going back out there. And then after the game, reported some more symptoms. So we'll talk about that in the injury section.
Yeah. So 30 points for T. Higgins. He's having a few good weeks right around now, which I'm sure is nice to see, but also doesn't really help JMC at all.
Right.
One other 20-point score on JMC's side of this matchup. We'll cover that now. It was Zay Flowers with a 25-point day. Solid performance against Pittsburgh. Couldn't remember who they played for a second.
I mean, he's been their far and away best receiver all year. Just hasn't been much of a ceiling because between Lamar being hurt or playing in a compromised state and Flowers refusing to score touchdowns, he needs a big yardage day to kind of get into the top, 20 receivers or so on a week.
Right.
But
and 124 yards did it this week.
Yeah, he's been very consistent where he doesn't drop out of the top, 36 or so, but he doesn't really get any higher than top 20 usually. He's just in that range. He's kind of
that guy's gonna make your lineup every week, though.
Right. Yeah, he's been very consistent in an inconsistent offense.
Yeah. On Flea's side of this matchup, a few players over that 20-point threshold. Matthew Stafford, 26, Sam Darnold, 25, and Tim Patrick making another appearance at 21 points.
Tim Patrick.
A lot of throwing going on in Jacksonville right now.
Well, Parker Washington missed the game. We talked about him last week with the hip injury, but they had been using Austin Trammell off the practice squad as the slot guy. And this week they kind of decided to reconfigure their wide receiver group. Patrick had been pretty much exclusively the backup X to Brian Thomas. But this week they went a little bigger. They put him and Thomas and Myers out there in 3 receiver sets. And it really unlocked the offense and especially unlocked Tim Patrick. So I would imagine that you're probably going to see this going forward if Washington continues to miss time.
Yeah, I don't know. He had a hip injury, right, Washington?
Yep. Not that he's going to score, 20 plus points for fantasy every week, but he was a big part of the offense this week.
Yeah. Not sure what Washington's status is going forward, but Patrick is a reliable veteran. He's going to be in the right spot. He's got good hands. He's going to do the right thing. He's not going to be hugely explosive, but sometimes that's what you need in an offense is just a guy who's doing the right thing all the time.
That's something that Jacksonville needed desperately.
Right.
Trading for Jacoby Myers has really helped this offense. And he's not creating chunk plays, but he's just not dropping the ball or fumbling or running the wrong route. He's where he's supposed to be. He catches the ball. He gets first downs. It's amazing what that can do to an offense. Just having a consistent, reliable, chain moving type of guy.
Yeah. And Patrick can do that same sort of thing. Not quite at the same level that Myers can. Myers is a better player at this point in their respective careers, but he can do the same basic principle.
Patrick's also a very good blocker, which helps unlock your run game as well. So there's a reason that he's stuck around this long, even after what probably should have been multiple career-ending injuries.
Couple things I want to talk about in this game. Most importantly, Flea's tight end won this week. Josh Oliver, 17.9 points on the strength of 2 catches, 24 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Like I said, Minnesota was running a lot of 3 tight end sets, which means Josh Oliver's on the field for a lot of snaps. If
Who
you're on the
needs-
field, you're going to catch passes.
Who needs
probably.
Justin Jefferson? You got Josh Oliver.
Right. Just feed Josh Oliver.
So a solid day from most of Flea's lineup. The only disappointing spot that tight end 2, Musgrave, was in there, 6.7. Honestly, it's better than she's done lately at a lot of her tight end 2 spots.
Yeah.
I'll bet you if you said you could have this exact tight end game every week through the playoffs, she would say, yes, I'll take that rather than take my chances.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge upgrade to what she's been getting most of the season.
So a good game for her. She was on that playoff bubble right there. If things had gone poorly for her and well for Rugg, this could have been a bad week for her, but she went 2-0, got over the median, got into the playoffs, and now we're at the point where anything can happen.
Yep.
In this matchup, we had a couple injuries, one to each team. We mentioned T. Higgins with a concussion for JMC's roster. You said he was in and out a couple times, reported them. I think I saw someone say that he reported concussion-like symptoms in the game, but they still cleared him. Is that accurate?
The Bengals better hope that's not accurate.
Well, it's not the Bengals that clear him; it's the independent analysts or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. God, I
like
hope
to
that's
play.
not the case.
Teams like to do these shenanigans during games.
Yeah, that's true. One other injury for Flea's roster was Elijah Arroyo left the game with a knee injury and didn't return. I did not see an update on this.
Yeah, I haven't seen an update. He left the game. They called it a knee. The Coach McDonald didn't update it after the game. Just said they need to run some tests, but we'll see. It freed up some more snaps for AJ Barner, but yeah, that's about it.
Well, AJ Barner's a better tight end anyway, so
He has been for fantasy this year.
I had to say it. He's on my team. We gotta be out here pumping our guys up because he's going to hear this, obviously. So
Right.
all right, let's move on to our next matchup. Our next highest scoring team was my team. I was our third highest scorer this week with a 217.68, and I was up against Flinch, who was our 8th highest scoring team at 150.64. Couple players over the 30 and 40 point threshold in this one. Puka Nakua with a 40 and JSN with a 30. Now, technically, both of them were at the 39 and 29, but we're rounding this week, so that's what you get.
See what happens when they actually let Puka score touchdowns?
Yeah, no kidding.
This is the ceiling for Puka because he gets a ton of receptions and yards, but somehow Devontae Adams manages to catch all of the short touchdowns.
He puts up incredible points for someone who is not the leading touchdown receiver on his team.
Right.
Like on the season, he's the wide receiver too. He's missed time, and he only has, what does he have? 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, just incredible work.
His teammate has what, 15, something like that?
Devontae has all of the touchdowns.
Yeah, it's a little bit silly. But good days from Puka and JSN. They just 4 touchdowns between them, 250 something yards. Why
Every
not?
week. This is just clockwork, especially JSN. This year has been unbelievable for JSN.
Yeah. And he had a slow first half too. He did not have a lot of points early on in that game. He did most of his damage later on. Interesting thing on my team here, not a single other player over that 20-point mark. At a 40 and a 30, but no one in that 20 range.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge ceiling week for your team, unfortunately. Heading into the playoffs, it's been a little bit of a downswing. I mean, relative to how you were playing early in the middle of the season, it's still better than pretty much every other team every week, but not quite the heights that we've been seeing.
Yeah, I've texted you at least 5 times in the last week. My team peaked at the wrong time. And your team is peaking right now, as I keep mentioning. The high scores for my my team were all in basically the middle of the season, not at the very beginning and not here at the end where you really want them.
Well,
Oh, not you want them where I want them.
it's now a 1 week season, so it really doesn't matter what's happened. And you scored 500 points the week before. It don't matter if you don't
Right.
do it the next week.
It's true.
So,
Okay, let's take a look at Flinch's roster. He had 2 players over the 20-point threshold, Lamar Jackson with a 22 and RJ Harvey with a 24. Good day for Harvey.
Yeah, he was able to stay out there for a lot more snaps than he had been. The Broncos were mostly able to avoid any real third downs because they were playing the Raiders, so they pretty much did whatever they wanted against them. But he didn't lose a ton of snaps, and they didn't really run any snaps in the 2-minute drill hurry up offense. So it ended up being his highest snap share of the year, and he was very productive.
Yeah. It
Career
could
high
be
in yards and receptions. So it's good to see.
it was. It could be a sign that he's, solidifying a little bit more control over that, number 1 job there. It could just be a weekly one-off. Who knows with Peyton?
Yeah, knowing Sean Payton, nothing is guaranteed.
Right. Not a whole lot to talk about in this one. Interesting that Flinch has 4 starting tight ends here. He's got Kincaid, Dulcich, Komet, and Brenton Strange all above that 8-point mark. Nice that he's been able to keep and add that depth, picking up Dulcich and everything this year.
Yeah, but I mean, 2 of these guys are in single digits, so it's not.
Yeah.
They're not in the lineup because they were great scorers. They're in the lineup because he ain't got nobody else on the bench scoring
Sure, but
points.
there's
it is
plenty
nice
of
to have
teams.
4 tight ends that score points on a week,
Right.
any amount of points.
That's what I'm getting. There's plenty of teams that would say, "Oh, you've got a tight end that scores 8.7 points a week. Yeah, I'll trade for that." And you
Take
get it
it.
like, you could probably at least a 3rd round pick for that, right?
I don't know. We'll have to ask Mel.
Oh, damn. Okay. Before we move on from this matchup, just one injury to note. Tyrod Taylor left the game with a groin injury, did not return. I feel bad for him. Every time he gets a shot, he just gets hurt almost instantly these days.
Yeah. Mr. Glass.
At least he wasn't stabbed.
By his own trainer. Well, it wasn't a great week for your team, but you did enough to set the new single season team point record. So that was nice.
That is true. I wasn't sure when I should mention that. I was going to mention it at the end of things, but yeah, I broke the single season point record that was set last year by Big's team, and I tied the single season record, like 1-loss record, that was set in the first year of our league. What was that? 2019, 2020?
By Mr. Good News.
By Mr. Good News in our first season. So overall, a very successful year, but I just leaving a bad taste in my mouth right now. I'm limping into the playoffs. I don't like it.
Well, at least you get the bye week.
Right.
But yeah, everything you've done in the regular season, you can throw that out the door. You get the bye week this week, and then everything doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to our next matchup. Our next highest scoring team was Mel's team. Mel was our 4th highest scorer. He put up a 214.45, and he was up against Mr. Good News. Mr. Good News was our 11th highest scorer at 71.97. 2 players over that 30-point threshold, one of them over 40 points in this matchup. We had Josh Allen with a 40 and Shedeur Sanders with 36 points.
And those 2 combined were enough to beat Mr. Good News this week.
That is factually accurate. That is factually correct right there. Oh, man.
And we know Sanders was courtesy of Mr. Good News. So
factually correct. Just flashback to listening to Barry and Ravitz do the 6010, the baseball podcast back in the day. Ooh, the depths of that. Yeah, no, the 2 of them together just blowing everything out of the water here.
Mr. Good News successfully completed his tank job, locked up the 101.
Yep.
It was a brilliant effort.
Thanks in part commitment to Judd. We're going to get to that in a minute. What a week for Judd. But yeah, Mr. Good News again. incredibly good job doing what he set out to do by Mr. Good News here. But
Right.
still, we covered it last week. Somehow he doesn't finish 12th on the week. He's the 11th highest score. There was a team below him, even though he put up 72 points. It doesn't make sense to me how infrequently he finishes as number 12. There's just
You
always
know,
one team cratering out in a given week.
right. But he was consistent.
Right.
That's the key. Over the
Consistent.
course of a long season, consistency is key.
The best part of this was he didn't have a single zero in the lineup this week, but he did have a 0.02, excuse me, a .02 score from his quarterback Nick Mullins, who went 1 for 1 for 3 yards and had 3 carries for -1 yards.
Good thing he had that completion. It would have had negative points.
Right.
Then he would have got a zero in there.
No players over the 20-point threshold for Mr. Good News. He did have Mason Taylor with a decent game, 15 points. Outside of that, nothing really special in there.
Yeah, we haven't seen much from Taylor recently, but third string practice squad call up quarterback, emergency quarterback really locked onto him in this game.
And maybe they've spent time working together, throwing or something. With the backup quarterbacks, a lot of time they'll just key in on whoever they're comfortable with, which is understandable.
Yeah, tight end can often be a security blanket for young
Right.
quarterbacks. He's a big target, close to the line of scrimmage generally.
Yeah. Okay. For Mel's team, a couple more players over that 20-point threshold. He had a big game from Pollard, kind of out of nowhere here. We haven't seen Tony Pollard do a lot recently. 29 points and 20 points on the dot from AJ Brown.
Yeah, he only had 1 week before this that was over 67 rushing yards. He had 160 yards today. So that was a nice game from Tony Pollard. A little bit unexpected, but we'll take it.
Especially considering it was against the Cleveland defense, and Tennessee
Browns have
has
been
not Tennessee has not looked great. They looked significantly better this week, obviously, but they haven't looked great, and Cleveland's defense is legit.
Yeah, Browns have been a tough defense to run against, but they did a good job controlling the game and the game script, and they were able to continue to kind of pound the rock all game long, and that led to this huge Tony Pollard stat line. They haven't done that very much this year, which is probably why Pollard hasn't done very much this year.
Makes sense to me. And solid game from AJ Brown. He's looked good lately. Hasn't gone quite as well for Philadelphia.
Yeah, his uptick in production has coincided with the Eagles' downturn in wins.
You love to see it.
They seem to have changed their offensive identity a little bit. You know,
From good to bad.
for for what Hurts is good at, which is basically not turning the ball over. When he's at his best, he's not turning the ball over. But that's mostly because he doesn't take any risky throws or throw anything over the middle of the field where there's a lot more bodies and risks for interceptions and tips and things like that. In the last few weeks, they've been throwing it a lot over the middle of the field, and it's led to a direct uptick in turnovers. We saw
Yeah.
quite a few in the Monday night game.
We're gonna talk about that in our next matchup when we get to
we'll get
Crittle's
to
team.
the we'll get to that matchup, but yeah, it's led to an increase in production for Brown because he thrives on those kind of slants and ins and things like that in the middle of the field. And yeah, it's good for fantasy, but not so good for the Eagles.
Okay, a couple other things to note in this one. I just want to point out that Mel's two starting tight ends this week were Jawan Johnson and Dalton Schultz, his two new acquisitions. Not huge
Interesting.
games from either one of them, 20 points combined, but still.
Interesting.
Yeah, not a whole heck of a lot else going on here. It's kind of the same story for Mel as it was for Big's team and for my team, where it's a fine week. There's nothing really special outside of the one or two big, the quarterbacks for Mel, big performers, and then everything else was just good, not great.
Yep.
But it gets him over the median, and it kept him alive points wise, so he was able to hold on to the points tiebreaker and got the bye weeks. So that's the most important thing for him.
Right. That was a big thing this week. He needed a 2-0 week and he needed some help from my team, and he got both of those things.
Right.
So I guess you're welcome.
I mean, to be honest, you weren't getting it either way. So did it really matter to you whether it was Big or Mel that got the bye?
I mean, I would have preferred it was me.
Yeah, sure, but you would have needed to make up like another. What's the final difference here between your team and Mel's team?
Listen, I was hoping that Mr.
You
Good
would have
News
needed to
would.
make up another 61 points.
I was hoping that Mr. Good News would pull a Judd this week, but did not work.
It would have been possible, I suppose, but extremely unlikely. You're going to need more than .02 from Mullins to get that one done. All right, before we move on, a couple injuries in this one. Unfortunately, all on Mel's team here. He does have the bye to kind of see if he can recover from some of it. He lost 2 quarterbacks, but the good news is they were not his starting quarterbacks. Geno Smith hurt his shoulder and left the game. They said it was locked up. I don't know what that really means. I guess it means he doesn't have the full range of motion or something. Bad news.
Yeah, he's been struggling for the entire season. It has not been a great year in Vegas for anyone associated with this team, and Gino's at the head of that parade. So maybe they give him some time off and kind of see what they have in Pickett or even O'Connell. See, kind of figure out what they want to do going forward because they got to make some decisions in this offseason of who's going to be the quarterback next year and into the future.
So you're saying it's a bad time to be heavily invested in Raiders like Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty.
Well, I mean, some players are good enough to overcome their situation.
Here's hoping. Other injuries from Mel's team. He lost Riley Leonard to a PCL sprain. However, before halfway through this game, he didn't even have Riley Leonard. So
right. Sitting on
I'm going to count this one as a big loss.
Easy come, easy go. I mean, he still may be able to play this week. They're not sure if he's going to be able to play.
Right.
But don't worry. They signed retired high school coach Philip Rivers.
This is incredible. 44
years old. Hasn't played since COVID.
5 years.
He hasn't played since COVID was a thing.
Also a grandfather now.
So we'll see. I mean, I'm sure the Colts fans were excited when they heard one of their former quarterbacks was coming out of retirement to save the team. I'm not sure this is a monkey paw curls. You get Philip Rivers.
I think you'd see Peyton Manning come out of retirement before you see Andrew Luck. All right. One other injury for Mel's team, and this one's a bit of a big one. It was Zach Ertz tore his ACL. Brutal hit.
Yeah, this was a rough one. He skied to try to catch a pass and got his knees taken out from under him. It was not pretty. It looked bad, and he knew it right away, and everybody else knew it.
He was very emotional on the sidelines after.
It's certainly a season-ending injury, potentially career-ending for Ertz based on where he's at this point in his career. But you never know. He could come back in 10 years.
Right. 5 years out of it's 5 years for what is he, 35 now?
He's still young. He's got another 10 years before he catches up to Rivers.
Oh, the thing I saw, so Rivers is 44. The thing I saw today, Albert Hainsworth is 44 years old. Wes Welker is 44 years old. And Troy Polamalu is 44 years old.
Let's bring them all back.
Yeah. Just seeing that list was like, oh man, those are his contemporaries. Like Welker's been out of the league a lot longer than that. So
I've seen those hair commercials with Polamalu. He's looking pretty gray.
Sure. He's 44. You're supposed to at that point. Not a great week injury wise for Mel's team. We'll see what happens with Gino. I wouldn't get too worked up about Leonard in any event.
Yeah, I mean, Gino hasn't exactly been a lineup staple for Mel this year.
Yeah, it's true.
Hurts definitely hurts, or would have hurt more if he hadn't just acquired a bunch of top 10 tight ends recently.
Okay. Let's move on to our next matchup. Our next highest scoring team was George Mike. George Mike was our 6th highest scoring team this week, and he put up a 203.05. and he was up against Criddle, who was our 12th highest scorer this week, with a 67.23. No players over 30 points, no players over 40 points in this one, but for Georgia Mike, we did have a good number of players over 20 points. Trevor Lawrence with a 22, ETN with a 21, Michael Pittman with a 22, Waymo with a 21, and Pitts with a 21.
Yeah, he did what he needed to do to get himself a head-to-head win. I mean, that was pretty much locked up, but he needed to get over the
Right.
median to secure his playoff spot. He was in the best position of the three teams fighting for the last two spots, but he all but locked it up.
Yeah, he had the game in hand on both Flea and Rugg and the points tiebreaker, and he was up against obviously a team that's not competing right now. Criddle's in a rebuild phase, so he was pretty much guaranteed it, but it was still nice, obviously, I'm sure, to get over the median and secure everything and not have to worry about any points tiebreaker nonsense.
Yep.
But a solid day for most of his roster. No huge games, but even the guys who didn't make it over that 20-point threshold, we got Chase Brown in the 19 range, Colby Parkinson 15, Bucky Irving 17. All these guys, it's the same story. Like I said, with my team, with Mel's team, with Big's team, with Flea's team, a bunch of good scores. This was just a week where it was pretty steady across the board, it seems, outside of your team.
Yep.
So a solid performance. On the other side of this matchup, no 20-point scores for Criddle. The closest he came was Saquon with a 19-point day, and your guy Gainwell at 17 points.
Bones.
Yeah. However, we absolutely have to discuss Jalen Hurts right now. He put up negative 0.1 this week.
He was not in the lineup. He was outscored by his backup, Tanner McKee, who did make
Tanner McKee
Criddle's
put up a
lineup.
0, yes.
Who did make Criddle's lineup this week. But we
Excellent.
saw some
Excellent choice by Mel there, by the way.
we saw some history from Jalen Hurts this week. He was the first player to have 2 turnovers in one play. That was clearly the play of the year. I don't know.
So, do you remember when SportsCenter used to have the not top 10 and the butt fumble one every single time?
Right.
I wonder if this would have stood a chance at dethroning the butt fumble, because he threw the interception. Will Shipley comes and strips the ball from the defender. Hurts picks up the fumble, gets credited with negative 12 rushing yards, and then fumbles the ball himself, which is recovered by the Chargers. Negative 5.2 points on one play. How?
This entire game was just a microcosm of the entire Monday night game. I think this was part of a stretch where the teams combined for like 5 turnovers in 11 plays.
Yes.
It was just it was not well played by either side.
This was a game played in the snow that was actually played in the dome at 70 degrees.
Right. They played in a blizzard, right?
Just no one could hold on to the ball. The ill-timed interceptions. Man, what a bizarre game.
And they went to overtimes. We got even more
wildly entertaining football at the end of it, but I don't know what to make of this.
Well, what we know is it wasn't a great offensive performance again for the Eagles, so it wasn't a great offensive performance for Criddle's team this week.
Yeah.
It's not been a good year to be loaded up on Eagles.
No, it has not been a great season. Outside of those few games from AJ Brown the last month.
Yeah, unfortunately not on Criddle's roster.
No, there's still time. Georgia Mike unfortunately lost Indiana Jones to a season-ending Achilles tear. This one sucks.
Yeah, he's just unfortunate. I mean, he's been playing through a broken leg bone, cracked fibula on his other leg, and you have to wonder if playing through that is kind of led to this other injury. We see a lot of times when you're overcompensating when you got one bad leg and then the other one gets hurt.
Yeah.
We've got to hope that he wasn't out there too compromised. You know, the Colts clearly desperate to keep the playoff hopes alive this year. hence the Philip Rivers signing out of retirement. So you got to hope that they didn't kind of put him out there in a position where he was compromised. But he's not going to play anymore this year, and
No.
he's going into free agency in a
I say
much
it's going
worse
to
position
cost
than
him
he
money.
could have, a few weeks ago. It's yeah, it's just unfortunate. Looked like he had kind of revitalized his career early in the season, and things have fallen apart recently, and this is just the worst possible ending.
Right. It sucks to see because, like you said, he had been doing very well, and he's not. Jones is only 28. He's not young, but he's not old. He's got plenty of time left for an NFL career. So
Yeah.
he'll come back from this injury, and the Achilles recovery time to being able to play puts it that he could probably make it for the start of next season, but he wouldn't be 100%. And what do you get there?
I mean, we've seen Cousins and Rogers, obviously a lot older than
Yeah,
Daniel Jones, but we saw them come back within a year, and it
right.
was not pretty. The first year back
No,
was kind of ugly for those two guys.
yeah.
So we don't
Both
know
of them
what we're
about
gonna get.
at least 10 years older than Jones is
Right.
right now,
That
and
factors into it, obviously, but
ha-
yeah, you have to imagine that it's probably not going to look great. And he
yeah,
definitely cost himself a lot of guaranteed money.
right. If I recall correctly, I know Rogers' injury was week 1, and I'm pretty sure Cousins' injury was week 5.
Yeah, it was pretty early on.
Yeah, so both of them were earlier in the season. I'm pretty sure it was week 5. So they were early season injuries, so it gave them a little bit more time. But again, they're a little bit older. I hope Jones gets at least some decent money contract. I don't know what's likely to happen, but it'd be nice to see.
Certainly going to be an interesting free agency case
Right.
because he was probably going to be the jewel of the free agent class.
Right. Yeah, he
And
was gonna make
now,
30 million a year probably.
yeah, now we'll see. We'll see what kind of teams are willing to commit to him as far as, years and guaranteed money and things like that.
Right. I told you that I think he'll be back in Indianapolis, and I think it'll be a 2-year, $50 million deal
Yeah, we'll see.
with about half that guaranteed. Now, obviously, who the hell knows?
Right. But
You
he probably isn't going to get 100+ million guaranteed like he would have if he
right.
just finished this season healthy.
All right. One other injury for Georgia Mike's team. It was Nick Chubb hurt his ribs. Uh, I don't know what's going on here. He left the game, didn't come back. I don't know what it looks like for next week.
Yeah, considering that they ruled him out pretty quickly and he did not ever look like he was coming back in this game.
Yeah.
And then they loaded Woody Marks up for 74 touches.
Right.
Yeah, I think we may be looking at an absence for Chubb, but it could just be a pain tolerance issue. If there's no internal damage, even if it's a cracked rib, something you can play through. It's just extremely painful, especially as a running back.
Yeah.
We'll see if they want to subject him to that or not.
Okay. Let's move on to our final matchup. Our next highest scoring team was Judd's team. Judd was our 7th highest scorer with a 194.57. Judd, where was this all year? And
Yeah.
continuing his brutal run of playing against the worst possible opponent every week. On the other side of this
Oh
is
no.
Rugg with the 9th highest score of 135.62. Rugg cannot catch a break.
Oh
He will never get a
God.
fair trial in Manitowoc County.
Yeah. I mean, when Judd is scoring 195 points against you in week 14 of this is not week 1 or 2 before he started, losing players and selling guys off. This is after all of that has happened. 195 points feels impossible.
Well, here's how it happened. 31-point day from Ryan Flanoy, who I'm told that's how it's pronounced. I don't know if that's accurate. That's what they were doing on the broadcast, though. We'll go with it. Guess I shouldn't have traded him away. Anyway,
Whoops.
yeah, 30-point day from him, 27-point day from Joe Burrow, 27-point day from Blake Corum, and 25 from DK Metcalf, 22 from Jordan Love, and straight zeros from his tight ends, and still got 195.
That's just incredible work.
Man, what a day.
I mean, once his team was out of the running for the first overall pick, he just wasn't holding back anymore.
Yeah, he gave an inspired locker room speech, apparently. I don't know.
Poor Rug.
Good for Judd. He gets some confidence in guys like Corum going forward that you might not have had otherwise. Devin Neal with the Saints looked fine in relief of Kamara.
Yeah, I mean, definitely feels like his team is a little deeper than it had appeared the last several months. I know it's nice to have Burrow back, but yeah, a lot of his depth pieces kind of hit ceilings this week all at the same time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Rugg, as we've been saying for how many weeks now?
The entire 14, the entire
Right.
season we've been saying
This
it.
the whole season. He's just running to buzzsaw after buzzsaw, and it cost him a playoff spot.
Yeah, he had the chance to make it, but under the median, lost the head-to-head against the number 2 overall pick.
Right. Yeah, just
Just a brutal
unfortunate.
week.
Unfortunate ending to what had been a pretty fun season for Rugg. I mean, he
Yeah,
really rebuilt his team in the offseason, added a bunch of running backs, and he's drafted well the last couple of years. Went from one of the worst teams in the league to almost in the playoffs. I mean, at the doorstep. So the future's bright here. Just
right.
came up a little short this year. I mean, it's kind of the same story we said about Georgia Mike last year, and now Georgia Mike's in the playoffs this year.
Very true. This was also kind of a perfect storm for Rugg. His quarterbacks basically all imploded at the same time. Right now he's got Drake May and Bryce Young on the bye. Jaden Daniels came into this game coming back from injury and then got hurt again. If you don't have a single one of your starting quarterbacks play a game, like a full
Right.
game, it's going to be hard to put up points.
Yeah, and Mariota came in and put up negative points in relief of,
Right. Yeah.
of Daniel, so that wasn't helpful.
Yeah. You're not going to have this many starters on bye often. In addition to the quarterbacks on bye, he had his 2 starting tight ends, Hunter Henry and Theo Johnson, on bye, plus guys in his lineup frequently like Wan'Dale Robinson and Stephon Diggs. It was just a brutal week of buys at the worst time for Rugg. We've seen
Yeah.
all the teams have gone through this at one point or another. It just happened to be his turn.
Yep, unfortunate. In a must-win week, we've talked about it, how stupid it is to have this many buys in week 14, but here we are.
Yeah. And it's not like he had all his guys on one team. This is 4 different teams. He's got guys on all of them that are out this week on bye. Just one injury to note before we move on from this one. We just said it. Jaden Daniels got injured. Mariota came in for the relief, put up negative points. For Daniels, it was a re-aggravation of his left elbow injury from the dislocation a few weeks back. Why are they playing him?
I mean, he's playing like crap, so let's just call it what it is. It was clearly a soft benching.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I didn't see that. I probably should have seen the joke. I did not. That one caught me off guard there. Yeah, they got to shut him down, right? Like, what are we out here to show? Like,
What are they playing for?
you're not making the playoffs. You're eliminated mathematically, or if not, you may as well be. Your guy is clearly hurt. You're courting a bigger, longer term injury here. Just stop it.
Yeah, ask Daniel Jones.
Forget Daniel Jones. This is the Washington franchise. Like, ask RG3. Ask any Washington fan. Like, let's be done here.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, it just makes sense.
It was fine to try and bring him back this week. It would be irresponsible, in my opinion, to bring him back anytime soon.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
And again, I'm not an NFL coach or GM with my job on the line, but also I'd rather see a healthy player.
Right. Hopefully,
Daniels is a fun guy.
as well as the team played last year, hopefully the staff and the GM has enough leash to do what's right for the long term health of the team.
There shouldn't
going
be a
forward.
question here. They've done a good job coaching at the very least. I'm not sure what to say.
All of the good injury luck they had last year, all of that magic is gone this year. It's been the opposite. Everyone's been hurt every week. So, when that happens, it's just a lost season sometimes.
Right. Okay. I think that wraps up all of our matchups. I'd say let's go and take a look at the playoff odds, but we have our playoff team, so I guess we should look at the playoff matchups, right?
Yep. Do it.
Let me pull them up. Week 15. So right now we have the bye weeks for my team and for Mel's team, which puts.
I thought we were talking about the toilet bowl. Bye weeks for
yeah.
Mr. Good News and Judd.
That's true. Buys for Good News and Judd, which means Criddle is squaring off against JMC for the right to not advance. This is the one where if you win the game, you don't advance. In case anyone hadn't paid attention to the toilet bowl,
you don't want to win the toilet bowl because that means you lost all of these matchups. The loser advances.
So for our purposes, this means nothing. We do our picks by the
correct way
for over the
correct way.
But still, it's not something that you want to have on your record. So Criddle against JMC this week and Rug against Flinch this week.
So basically, the top 6 picks are locked in. So we know who 101 through 106 is going to be.
Why don't you you had it earlier? Why don't you give us the list here?
Right. It's based on max points 4, which actually matches the standings because Judd put up a massive win this week.
190-point week, yes.
His first and only win on the season. So that made the standings finally match to the max points. So 101 will be Mr. Good News. 102 will be Judd. 103 will be Flinch. 104 will be Criddle. 105 will be JMC. And unfortunately, 106 will be Rug.
Now it'll be the picks associated with their rosters. They a couple of these teams don't have control of their own first round pick, and a couple of them have first round picks that aren't their own as well. It's everyone knows we trade a lot of picks. They move around.
Right.
About what we've expected over the last month or so. No real massive surprises other than I guess it was we didn't know if it would be Rug or Flea or Georgia Mike missing out.
Yep.
All right. Now to the actual playoff bracket, to those other 6 picks that have yet to be determined. And I'm pretty sure none of us have our own first round picks at this point. The 4-5 matchup is between Big and Georgia Mike. The 3-6 matchup is between Al and Flea. So the buys are for my team and for Mel's team. This should be pretty good.
Yeah, we get a first-time playoff performance from Georgia Mike. It's nice to see. Finally officially out of the rebuild stage. He's in the playoffs for the first time.
I was going to say, we should note for anyone who doesn't remember, it was not his fault he was in the rebuild. He took over the team that was in very rough shape.
Very rough shape when he took it over, and he's done a good job turning it around. And he kind of accelerated it last year and came up just a little short, similar to Rug's team this year, but he's now officially in the playoffs for the first time, which is nice to see. Some new blood. Unfortunately, his reward for finally making the playoffs is playing last year's champion in Big in the first round.
Yep.
And then for myself and Flea, it's a rematch of last year's first round when she beat me by 1 point and carried that momentum all the way to the finals.
I hope we get another 1-point matchup. That'd be great.
I would prefer not.
Listen, if you win, you don't have anything to complain about.
Listen, my hair is turning gray at a rapid pace. And if I have to sit through another 1-point playoff matchup, I may just rip it all out.
There you go. So it's nice to see, like you said, nice to see Georgia Mike in there for the first time. He joined in a very difficult position, and he's done an admirable job getting to this point. And the other side of the matchup for Big, just defending his title right now. He didn't get the bye, but I'm sure he feels pretty confident about his team still. For the other matchup, Flea made it to the finals last year. I'm sure she wants to do that again. You're 2 years removed from your title. I'm sure you'd like to get another one. I think we have some pretty interesting storylines here.
Yeah, 6 really good teams in the playoffs. And I mean, we had really a historic season. We've only had 2 teams in our history that have gotten 24 or more wins in a year, and we had 4 teams do that just this year. So there's some really stacked rosters, more than we've seen at any point in our league history.
Yeah, it's what JMC's been saying for a while now. It's a very clear have and have not situation, and I mean, he's not the only one who's been saying it, but he's been vocal about it in league chat lately. It was clear from very early on what teams were essentially locked in, and to see that all 4 of those up at 24 wins is not shocking. All right. I think that's about all we've got for this week, unless you have anything else you want to talk about.
No, I'm ready for the playoffs. We've been talking about playoff odds for months now. We finally don't have to talk about that anymore. Now we've got the actual playoffs to look forward to.
Do you want the Dynasty Daddy percentage chance to make the finals?
No, I don't want to know that.
I'm telling you anyway. You've got a 25% chance according to Dynasty Daddy.
Never tell me the odds. Star Wars reference.
Catch everybody next week, but until then,
See you in the league chat.